Hi there, everyone. I'm Ashley Bullington, and you're watching the Campfire. This week, we are breaking down District 22 6A. Let's introduce you to the teams in our film session.
Last year, Pasadena and Domi had little resistance in district play as they rolled to a title going undefeated. This year, the Longhorns will continue with their wing T offense led by quarterback Cameron Gray, last year's offensive MVP. If Dobie hopes to not only win the district, but get their first playoff win since 2004, they'll need their inexperienced defense to show out. Over at Deer Park, graduation hit the Deer hard. They only returned 7 starters combined. The Deer will be relying heavily on a strong run attack led by first-team All-District selection Alex Argueta. Channelview is one of the few teams in the district that brings back a lot of talent. Demetrius Charles is back as a 2,000-yard passer, and he's joined by top target Josiah Prince. The Falcons' defense will be led by Demontrian Buchanan, who had 4 picks last year. As for the rest of Pasadena ISD, Memorial should be a playoff contender. They made the postseason for the first time in 3 years in 2020 and returned running back Xavier Learma and wide receiver Quincy Swain. However, the Mavericks lack depth on defense. South Houston has had a 4-year absence from the postseason, but this year could be the one for the Trojans. They're led by last year's newcomer of the year, Cameron Webb, who is a dynamic sophomore quarterback. Sam Rayburn went 30 games without a win until last year when they picked up 3. The Texans will hope to build on that for 2021. And Pasadena High went winless last year and struggled to even score. A win this year would do wonders for the Eagles.
Some really solid teams in District 22 6A, and they have really great players on them. Let's see who a few of them are and our players on the rise.
The district offensive MVP last year was Pasadena Dobie's Cameron Gray. He flourished in Coach Kevin Bernathy's wing T offense as Gray threw for almost 1,700 yards and ran for another 500. He was also responsible for 23 total touchdowns for the Longhorn offense. Dobie will be a heavy favorite this year as well, and look for Gray to lead the way for the Longhorns. Another solid quarterback in the district is Demetrius Charles of Channelview. He'll be a 3-year starter, and last year threw for nearly 2,000 yards and 20 touchdowns. Charles may be the district's best playmaker as he turns short gains into house calls regularly. He's a prototypical dual threat that gives 100% on every play. Look for him to help lead the Falcons to postseason. In the backfield, look out for Deer Park's Alex Argueta. As a junior, Argueta rushed for over 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. But with the majority of the offense graduating, look for him to do even more as a senior. He was a first-team All-District selection last year due to his tough running. The Deer will be replacing much of their offensive line, so look for Argueta to make his own holes to pick up yardage. The best defensive player in the district is Pasadena Memorial's C.J. Tucker. The Mavericks defense only returned 3 starters, but defensive back Tucker might be enough to change a game or 2. Tucker led the team in interceptions last year and was a first-team All-District selection as well.
Some really phenomenal players in this district, and they are led by phenomenal coaches. Let's introduce you to one of them as Deer Park's Austin Flynn is on for our Media Day segment.
All right, it's Media Day. We're talking 22 6A, and I'm joined by Deer Park head coach Austin Flynn. Coach, it happens to everybody, but you got hit with graduation pretty hard. Talk about, I mean, you had a nice finish and got into the playoffs that this year or last year, but do you have to replace a lot, or do you have a lot of young guys coming up that can that you think can fill those roles?
Well, we think we've got a pretty good group that's coming up, and our young guys, but we got to replace 4 out of 5 offensive linemen, which is hard. Which I don't care how good or talented the guys that are coming up beforehand, experience, always trumps a lot of those skill sets. So hopefully early in the season, a lot of our receivers, running backs, our quarterback did not start last year, but got quite a bit of time. So hopefully those guys can take some of that load off of those big guys up front until they get some experience. But like you said, I'm going to replace 4 out of 5 offensive linemen up front. It's hard. But I really like where spring did. Obviously we got to go through spring training this year. I know not everybody got to do that, but through the summer and in the off season, getting back to a little bit of normalcy.
You got your district play, and you got a Dobie team that is difficult to beat. They went through the district pretty easily last year. Went 6-0. Talk about how you can take down Dobie and maybe some of the other teams in the district.
Obviously Dobie, being the district champion, they've earned that, and they're the team to beat. And so at the end of the day, I think we just got to execute a little bit better on some things, and they made some big time plays that we did not. And I think that was the biggest difference. So hopefully we can rectify that a little bit, try to address some of those concerns that we had last year. Obviously it's a brand new team on both sides, so things will be a little bit different, but we also need to make sure we execute the little things right, a little more than we did last year.
I appreciate you joining me, Coach Flynn, and good luck in this 2021 season.
Boy, thanks for having us and everything you do for high school football.
Coach Flynn, thank you so much for joining us here on the Campfire. You can catch the entire interview with the Deer Park Deers head coach on Thursday in our Media Day segment. We have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube that will be going out to. Now we bring in the Inside High School Sports Insider, Matt Harris, for the District Breakdown.
District Breakdown time. We got Matt Harris with us, Inside High School Sports Insider. We are talking 22-6A. And last year, that was all about Dobie. Talk about what you think is going to happen this year.
Yeah, boy, was it all about Dobie. Dobie, 9-1 season, 6-0 district champions. They thought they escaped Atascocita when the Eagles moved over to 21-6A and freed up Dobie to win a district championship. But then they ran into Atascocita in round one and lost big time. But they return a lot of talent, including quarterback Cameron Gray, who had a fantastic year last season. And they lose some talent as well. But I'm looking at Dobie to be right back at the top of this district with Gray back at quarterback. Another team to mention here would probably be Deer Park. 5 district wins last year for the Deer, but only 5 wins total. 5-1 in district, 5-6 overall. Lost to North Shore in round 1. But they returned some talent, especially in the backfield. They returned running back Alex Argueta and another running back in Erasmo Canales. I hope I'm saying those right. But Deer Park should be pretty good again next season. And those are 2 teams I'm really looking at towards the top of this district.
Now, as far as the rest of the players go, I know that one guy getting a lot of hype is Channelview's quarterback Demetrius Charles. He's probably one of the more experienced guys coming back. But what other players do you see in this district that maybe make some noise?
Yeah, Charles Alous has top 2 weapons at wide receiver to graduation, but he is back, and he had a fantastic year last season. So I expect more of the same this year for Channelview. Another team I'm really looking at, as well as a few key players, is Pasadena Memorial. Went 7-4 last year, 4-2 in district play before losing in the first round to Westbrook. Of course, the thing people don't mention with 22-6A is they get the toughest draw in the state in terms of having to match up with 21-6A in round 1. But they return wide receiver Quincy Swain and should look to compete back towards the top of this district once again.
Perfect. That takes care of 22-6A. Hey, when we get back with you next week, we're going to talk 23-6A as we start winding down and get ready for the season.
Yes, sir.
Matt Wiz, great insight as always. Guys, we only have 3 episodes left of the Campfire before the season gets kicked off and going. So come back next Monday for a brand new show. Until then, I'm Masha Blington, and thank you for watching.